Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so real quick before we jump into today's video, I want to apologize for those of you who have been following me on YouTube for a while and know that I post videos every single Monday. And last Monday was the first Monday since I started this channel that I didn't post a video. And I want to just apologize. Like I said, this wasn't intentional. I actually had all of my footage filmed for the video, and then my phone died and I lost all of it, and I wasn't able to record or anything and post anything, and so I didn't get a phone till the following Thursday, and so I missed my first video. So I just want to say I'm sorry, but if you guys are new on my channel, my name is Jess. I do post videos every Monday, and for those that do follow me, they will be continued to be posted every single Monday. So without any further ado, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss when those future videos do come out, and let's hop right into today's video. Okay, before that whole phone fiasco happened, I posted 2 videos based on nutrition. I did a what I eat in a day, and I also did a grocery haul. I'll link them below so you guys can check those out first. But in there I talk about having healthier choices at a grocery store, and I wanted to lay out how I make those choices, and that is by reading nutrition labels. And this can be super confusing, so I decided I'd make a video to lay out exactly how you guys can read a nutrition label to make healthier choices. I'm actually super excited about this video because I am that person at the grocery store that's sitting there reading the nutrition label before I get anything. And that's not because I'm crazy, I don't think. It's because I actually think it's super interesting and I like to know what's in the foods and the different macros and all of that. So I'm gonna lay out for you guys what I'm looking for when I'm that person that stopped staring at the nutrition label at the grocery store. First things first. What do I look for? Because there's all kinds of random things on nutrition labels. There are 7 things I look at the nutrition label, and that is first serving size and calories, which is always at the top. Then in the middle, I look at the fats, proteins, and carbs, and I also look at sugar. And then lastly, at the bottom, I also look at what the ingredients are. So those are my 7 things that I pay attention to. And I'm gonna tell you guys why and what I look for. So first things first, let's talk about the ingredients. My big tip number 1 when looking at the ingredients are looking for things with minimal ingredients. Typically, foods that don't have a ton of ingredients in them are less processed and have less chemicals in them to help keep them preserved. This typically means that the foods are gonna be a little bit healthier. Big tip number 2, something I don't think a lot of people know, but that is super helpful and super interesting. When looking at ingredients, they're actually listed in most abundance to least abundance. And what I mean by that is whatever's first on the ingredient list is gonna be in the product more than something that's at the bottom. So if you have a food that says high fructose corn syrup first, that means that product has more high fructose corn syrup in it than it does anything else, which is very bad for you. So when looking at ingredients, the big tip number 1, look for things that don't have a whole lot of ingredients, and 2, look for things that have healthy ingredients as the first things, because that means that's what's in most abundance in that product. Okay, moving right along to our macronutrients. Macronutrients are our carbs, fats, and proteins. If you guys want to learn more about that, I do have a video describing what those are. I'll put it in the description box below. Check that one out. But we're going to jump into what I look for on the nutrition label considering those 3 things. So what I have learned is that a lot of these processed foods are extremely high in carbs and fats and typically pretty low in protein, and it could be pretty shocking because they're foods that you think are healthy and full of protein, but they actually have more carbs in them a lot of time. So what I try to look for is something that's a little bit more balanced. When I'm looking at my carbs, fats, and proteins, it's okay if they're high in any of those areas, but I look for something that's not just strictly all one and something that has a mixture of all 3. So I'm gonna pop something up here and show you guys exactly what I mean, and it might blow your mind what I'm about to show you. Just saying, it might, because it blows my mind. We are taking a quick look at protein bars. Look at this. They don't even have more protein than anything. So these things are full of carbs and they're full of sugar, and these are very popular brands. None of them have more protein in them than they do carbs, which I just find fascinating. Isn't that crazy? It's so crazy. Okay, so the last things we need to talk about is serving size, calories, and sugars. Let's talk about serving size and calories. So it is pretty interesting. The FDA is actually supposed to put a serving size that's pretty normal for an amount somebody is going to consume. It's not supposed to be a really small amount to where it's realistic that everyone's gonna have 2 to 3 servings. But I would say that they're still not super accurate and that people typically eat more than a serving. So for instance, Cereal, if I were to eat cereal, I'm eating more than 3/4 a cup. And almost every cereal a serving is about 3/4 a cup. Now, when you're reading a nutrition label, all of the nutrition facts are based off of that serving size. So if it says cereal is 3/4 a cup, 200 calories, let's say it's 23 grams of carbs, 9 grams of fat, 2 grams of protein, and 12 grams of sugar, all of those factors are in 3/4 a cup. So if you're like me and you're not just eating 3/4 a cup of cereal, you're eating a lot more because you just pour it into a bowl. It's probably gonna be like a cup and a half. You have to like double all of those, and that's actually what you are consuming. So that's why it's so important to pay attention to how much is a serving, because if you're consuming 2 to 3 servings of a certain food, you're consuming 2 to 3 times the amount of carbs, fats, proteins, sugar, and calories. Okay, the last thing we're gonna talk about is sugar. And when I look at nutrition labels, I look for how much grams of sugar in, but not just how much sugar it is, but if it's an added sugar. So the nutrition label has to say just sugar or added sugar. Sugar is what's naturally in the food or the product, and added sugar is gonna be added sugar. So for instance, if it has 11 grams of added sugar, you can then reference your ingredients list and see what kind of sugar is added. If it's something like honey, to me, that's not as bad. It's a natural sugar. It still is put into the added sugar part of the label. But if it's something like high fructose corn syrup and there's 11 grams of added sugar, that is very bad for you. So when looking at sugar, look for something that doesn't have a whole lot of added sugar, and that way it's a little bit more natural and it's something that's actually in the original food. Okay, I know that was a ton of information, but like I said, there's 7 main things I look at: serving size, calories, your carbs, fats, proteins, sugar, and the ingredient list. If you guys are a little bit overwhelmed at the moment, let me just encourage you to look at one thing. And if you're looking at processed foods, look for something that doesn't have a whole lot of ingredients. It's a little bit more simplistic, so it's not full of chemicals and preservatives. The last thing I want to do in this video is show you guys some healthy alternatives. I've talked about this a little bit in the grocery haul, but I'm actually going to show you guys the differences and what you guys could see on different labels in the grocery store to have a better understanding of making healthier choices. Okay, so this first one we're going to look at isn't very different on the macro scale, but I want us to take a look at the ingredients. We can see on the right side the Skippy peanut butter has sugar, hydrogenized vegetable oil, and we can see the Adams brand on the left only has peanuts and salt. The next one we're going to look at are protein bars, which protein bars give you the assumption that it's full of protein. While they do have a lot of protein, they also have a lot of other things in it. So we can look at the Gatorade bar on the right, and it actually has 350 calories, has 13 grams of fat, 40 grams of carbs, with 25 grams of sugar, with 24 grams of added sugar, and then 20 grams of protein. It's just super shocking to me because it makes it seem like these are actually carb bars. They have more carbs in them than they do protein. So when I look in grocery stores for protein bars, I always look for ones that have the most protein in it than anything else. This one on the left is a pure protein bar, and it's a little bit better on the macro scale. Still isn't killer good, but it is a little bit better because it actually has more protein than anything else. It is 200 calories, 5 grams of fat, 18 grams of carbs, 3 grams of sugar, and still 20 grams of protein. So just look for the bars that have more protein than anything else. Another super fun one to look at is yogurt. Yogurt's super interesting because everybody thinks yogurt is healthy. They think all yogurt is healthy. Yogurt is a very good thing for you, but a lot of the ones out there are actually super full of sugar and aren't very good for you. So for example, the very common strawberry yogurt from Yoplait on the right is actually 33 grams of carbs, 26 grams of sugar, and only 5 grams of protein, versus we can look at this plain Greek yogurt on the left, which has 5 carbs, 5 grams of sugar, and 18 grams of protein. So you just want to be careful when you hear that these certain foods are healthy. When they are still foods that are packaged and processed, you have to make sure they don't have additives in them like the Yoplait yogurt does. I absolutely love looking at this one. This is barbecue sauce, and a lot of times when you're eating healthy, you don't think about the sauces you put on your food. But the one on the right is Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, which is a very popular barbecue sauce. And I know it's hard to see, but if we look closely at the ingredient list, the very first thing on the ingredients is high fructose corn syrup. And there's also all different kinds of added sugar into the ingredient list as well, like honey and more corn syrup and just brown sugar as well. This barbecue sauce has a serving size of 2 tablespoons, which is pretty normal,
But in 2 tablespoons of this sauce, there is 70 calories, 0 grams of fat, 18 grams of carbs, 16 grams of sugar, and 0 grams of protein. This one on the left is a barbecue sauce I've tried, and it really does taste super good. It's not all that different. It's just a little bit more watery, but it's G. Hughes sugar-free barbecue sauce. 2 tablespoons is also a serving, but it is way better on the macro scale and the ingredient list. So in the ingredients, we can say that the crushed tomatoes is actually the very first thing, and the rest ingredients are pretty clean. So that means that the sauce is actually made out of real things. And we can see this on the macro scale as we look because it is only 10 calories, 0 grams of fat, 2 grams of carbs, 0 grams of sugar, and 0 grams of protein. This means you're not wasting all of your sugar, all of your macros on a sauce, and you could put this on your food.
Okay guys, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope this has helped you a little bit understand what's put on nutrition labels and why, and that way you can make a little bit healthier choices at the grocery store. Like I said, I know it can be super confusing, but if you guys have any other questions, please don't hesitate. Leave it in the comment box below. Leave down videos that you guys do want to see if you guys like these nutrition videos. If you haven't already, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos. And I will see you guys next Monday. Bye!